Good Friday afternoon. Jerry Miller, welcome to the I Love CVille show. Good to be with you. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. We have a new jobs report out. A startlingly amount of Americans are out of work. 15% of Americans now out of work. The true measure of what's really happening in the community is the underemployed metric, and that number, shocking, 23%. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about some stories here from a Charlottesville standpoint, a Central Virginia standpoint. The Virginia High School League has canceled spring sports, and the VHSL, which is the governing body of public school sports in Virginia, the VHSL has said it will make a decision about fall sports in June. So spring sports officially canceled. We knew that was going to happen. Fall sports, no decision has been made. The VHSL in the spotlight. University of Virginia students are now circulating a petition. We'll tell you this story before we get to headlines. Don't get them up yet. But UVA students circulating a petition about decreasing the cost of tuition for the summer term because classes are online and not in person. So now students at UVA petitioning the Board of Visitors and President Jim Ryan to reduce the cost of summer tuition because classes are online and not in person. It continues to get murkier and cloudier for the Board of Visitors and for President Jim Ryan. I have a feeling if students are asking for a reduction in tuition for the summer because classes are online, I have a feeling if classes in the fall are done online, a similar petition will circulate, and the UVA business model will continue to leak revenue, this time from a tuition standpoint. This is an advertising agency, I Love CVille and VMV Brands. We represent a fair amount of clients from New Providence, New Jersey to Asheville, North Carolina, and two of our favorites, local here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, the 4-generation-strong family business of Interstate Pest and Service Companies, and also Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. These two brands and businesses, family-owned, Interstate Pest and Service Companies, and Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine, doing a really good job, guys, in this COVID-19 landscape. Let's run headlines today on the program. The first one, Judah Wickower, where we can get on screen. This, a macro headline, 15% of Americans now unemployed. Underemployed benchmark is 23%, and 33 million total have filed for unemployment since the virus hit in March. Historic numbers never seen before in the history of the economy, never seen before in the history of the country. You have economists saying we hope the recovery is going to take 10 years. So this is a slow hole we're going to dig ourselves out of. I think you're likely going to see the ubiquitous nature of Wi-Fi and the internet and technology continue to rise and unfortunately cannibalize jobs. If you take a message from this headline, it's this: the person that you can count on the most is yourself. This coronavirus, COVID-19 has taught us that we need to be reliant on ourselves more than ever. I would encourage everyone watching this program to figure out a side hustle or something that you're about and you're passionate about that can drive revenue for you and your family soon. I think the folks that come out of this best are going to have a side hustle that's tied to their sweat equity in their arsenal. Okay? It's really important, whether it's the gig economy, whether it's client services, B2B, whatever it may be. Find something that you like and figure out a way to make money on it, because it's going to be a long time till we get out of this, and the internet is going to take some jobs away. I'm straight up going to tell you that. So it's going to be a very different hiring landscape once we are on the other side of this. There's not going to be nearly as many jobs there. So get into it for yourself. Figure out something that you can be passionate about and see if you can earn money that way, because you're going to need something to supplement you. And it's going to take a long time to recover from 33 million people filing for unemployment. That's startling. Next headline comes from Richmond and Short Pump, right down 64 from a 64 East standpoint. Nordstrom is permanently closing its location in Short Pump. The whole entire reason Short Pump as a community exists is because of brick and mortar shopping. Why else, unless you live there, do you visit Short Pump? You go there, Short Pump Shopping Center, and the epic shopping destination options that they have there. Short Pump is phenomenal. The question I'm going to ask everybody that's watching this program, we're live on 12 Facebook pages here on the I Love CVille network. Nordstrom now on record. This is a flagship tenant. Nordstrom now on record saying it's permanently going to close its Short Pump location. If you have a home that you own in Short Pump, Virginia, and you are counting on this home in Short Pump, Virginia to be a good investment, you should be very concerned about it right now. The entire Short Pump town, city, is it a town? Is it a city? Whatever. The entire brand that is Short Pump is tied to brick and mortar, big brand shopping. And they're falling. Nordstrom's, J. Crew bankruptcy, Neiman Marcus bankruptcy. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. If you're in Short Pump and you own some real estate, like a home, you got to be really concerned right now. I think the future of a Short Pump in general is a little up in the air because of its focus and need and its foundation on brick and mortar shopping. Compared to, say, a Charlottesville, where brick and mortar shopping is just a very small iota of what this economic ecosystem is. Watch it. Nordstrom's is going to be the first, and they're going to start following like dominoes. Falling like dominoes in Short Pump. I've already talked about the Barracks Road Shopping Center strategy. And every local owner in Barracks Road Shopping Center that's watching this program, you guys should form an association, a group, power in numbers, and you should go to your rep from Federal Realty in the local market, and you should demand rent relief for the remainder of 2020, and if you don't get it, you guys peace out of there. And you basically got to play a poker game with Federal Realty and say, if you want this shopping center to be nothing but big box brands, you can do it. And Charlottesville's going to respond by not patronizing the shopping center. And you'll watch your Class A position in Central Virginia and in CVille become a Class C position like Fashion Square Mall very quickly, Federal Realty. So you hope a publicly traded company like Federal Realty can see the forest through the trees, and you hope Federal Realty sees like a Nordstrom in Short Pump closing its doors permanently, and you hope that they don't want that to happen in Barracks Road, so they work with the current tenants that are local. I'm hearing otherwise. That's why I continue to emphasize this on the program. I will personally, Federal Realty, lead the charge on this network. If you're not good to the local business owners in this shopping center, I will personally lead the charge on this network, not to patronize Barracks Road Shopping Center. Please make sure that gets out in the ecosystem somewhere. UVA students, interesting headline. UVA students headline, Judah. This from the Cavalier Daily. Cavalier Daily's got some A+ content in there. If you're willing to give a college newspaper a chance, I read it every day. Every day I find myself impressed with the Cavalier Daily. That's the UVA newspaper. Cavalier Daily's got a story out, this was yesterday, about students at the University of Virginia now getting a petition circulating, and it's happening at colleges everywhere. Penn State, it's happening. They're circulating a petition, and they're demand. It's a fine line between ask and demand when it comes to petition writing. They're circulating a petition, and they're asking the University of Virginia to reduce summer tuition because classes are online and not in person. This is going to happen in the fall. If classes are online in the fall, this ask for reduction in tuition will happen. And then you're the Board of Visitors and you're UVA, you got to ask yourself this. Are hospitals hemorrhaging $85 million a year? $85 million a month, $3 million a day. Okay? Our hospital system is hemorrhaging $85 million a month. Our in-person classes, one of our key moneymakers, we're not sure we're going to do it. And here our customers, our students, are already asking for a break in price if we don't do it. And they're doing it for the summer. Our athletic department is probably not going to have in-person athletic events like football games where we can sell tickets and beer and food and gear and just expand the brand. We're not going to have that. Heck, we may not even have a fall sports season. So we're unsure of our in-person tuition model. Our hospital system is hemorrhaging. Our athletic department, a strong moneymaker, is non-existent. I mean, good night. It's hitting it from every single side. When it rains, it pours. It's like a bag of chips. Once you start eating a bag of chips, do you have this problem? I'll eat one or two chips, and before I know it, I'm 3/4 of the way through the bag. When it rains, it pours for UVA. The best thing that can happen for that business model is students returning in the fall, by far. And I think we're all in agreement with her. Best thing that can happen in Charlottesville. Let's get to the metrics from the Thomas Jefferson Health District, Judah. Thomas Jefferson Health District metrics. I'm not going to analyze them. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a doctor. I'm not. I'm just going to compare and contrast them to the first data dashboard that was issued by the Thomas Jefferson Health District. And when you send these to me next time, if you could mark them by date, that would be good. Please, sir. The first data dashboard is the first one on screen, Judah?
I don't believe it's the very first one ever, but it's 5.4, right?
Okay. We asked for the first one. Okay. So which one are you putting on screen? It should be the first one, which is what I've asked of you.
5.4.
Okay, so you're putting one from 4 days ago to compare to the May 8th? Okay, so that's the one. Okay, so this is the first one. You just saved it incorrectly. The first one from the Thomas Jefferson Health District, this is the first one ever released. 9 cases, 61 hospitalizations, and 337 total cases. So 9 cases that day, 337 total, 61 hospitalizations. Today, you look at the numbers, and I don't think he's got the right numbers here. We're going to ignore this. You don't have the right numbers in this dashboard. Let's see if you can get that for the next show correctly, please. We'll table this. He doesn't have the right one here. So what I'm saying is follow the metrics. Go to the Thomas Jefferson Health District and follow the metrics. Don't put them back on screen. And see the hospitalizations and see the deaths and see the total cases. They're not expanding that much. I'm not going to go beyond that. Just follow the metrics closely and add them to the conversation no matter where you are at. Because it's important for these metrics to be out there. That's why they're issuing this data dashboard. That is literally why they're issuing the data dashboard. Judah will give a more complete indication of what happened here on Monday's show. He's given me his promise right now to that. So I just want it to be in the ecosystem what the actual data is. Okay? Some comments coming in on a Friday edition of the I Love CVille show. And this one is a recap of what happened on Wednesday's program. Jerry, I listen to your show all the time. Thank you for keeping the community informed. I agree with you that President Ryan needs to let the community know what is happening in Charlottesville. There are so many people counting on him. I don't want to pretend to be in his shoes right now, but it's time that a decision is made for a number of reasons. Thank you for what you do. James Watson says Short Pump was overbuilt anyway. I think by that comment, he's predicting some demise for that community. Chrissy from Blue Grass Grill, many reasons I made the decision I did. Chrissy, you made the right decision. If you're still watching the program of why you closed Bluegrass, you made the right decision to close Bluegrass Grill. I mean, you're a phenomenal restaurant. You're a phenomenal restaurant. You poured your heart and soul into it. It's a killer brand with killer food. But it's, as you know, it's a tight dining room. And you couldn't wait this out. You made the right decision. I applaud any of them. I applaud any business owner, and please share this with somebody that's done this. I applaud any local business owner that goes on record and says, we're going to have to close our doors. That takes so much courage. There is so much more courage to go on the record and say, I'm going to close this now, as opposed to burying your head in the sand and trying to make it work and bleeding and bleeding and bleeding and suffering more on the back end. It's courageous to close a baby like this, whether it's like restaurant, retail, service, business services, whatever it may be. Applaud them for doing this because it takes guts. Don't hold it against them. Interesting statistic came up on the yesterday's edition of the show, and we have comments coming in about this. We had Lee Elberson, the Chief Executive Officer of, and you have the Spanish headline ready to go, Judah? the Chief Executive Officer of Claiborne Education, on yesterday's program. Wait for it before you play it. And Lee said this: I think the value proposition of private schools that are nimble is now stronger than ever. And it got me thinking, and he's right, because a small private school like in a Charlottesville or Central Virginia, take like a Tandem Friends or the Covenant School or Charlottesville Catholic School or the Renaissance School. They have less bureaucracy, less student enrollment, and less people on the payroll. As a result, they can be more nimble and pivot their model a little bit quicker. So the small private schools, according to Lee Elberson, our guest on yesterday's program, finished the semester really strongly. Schools like Charlottesville City and Albemarle County did not finish as strongly because they have more teachers, more student enrollment, more bureaucracy, et cetera, et cetera. Well, today's headline had me nostalgic on the conversation that I had yesterday with Lee, when Lee, the CEO of Claiborne Education, indicated that the value proposition of small private schools in Central Virginia has never been stronger than ever. Now let's play that headline, please. City schools have now officially eliminated the Spanish program from elementary schools. That's unfortunate. And that is not necessarily the case with the small private schools in elementary school and language. There's no better time to learn a language than your young elementary years, as your brain is developing, as you're learning like a sponge, and as you're ready to grow and to learn. So the elimination from the Spanish program from city schools is a kick in the you-know-what. I feel that way because teachers are losing their jobs, which stinks. And it's hard to find good Spanish teachers. So they're out of work. And what really stinks about it is how many elementary school kids in the city of Charlottesville, I don't have that exact number. We could find it online. But how many won't get a feel for the language of Spanish in elementary school? I'm curious to watch, and I want you guys to think about this. I'm curious to watch how this impacts so many aspects of our lives. For example, we're staying home more. My 2-year-old son is staying home more because of safety and health concerns. Kids aren't playing with other kids as much. How's that going to impact them from a development standpoint? Elementary schools in the city of Charlottesville are eliminating the Spanish program. We're concerned about riding public transportation, more so than ever. Look at the numbers for public transportation. They are so down to the point, if they continue being down like this, and I've seen the numbers, if they continue being down like this from a public transportation standpoint, it's just not sustainable. The city would have to carry public transportation. How is COVID-19 going to impact our willingness to live in densely populated areas like apartment complexes, condo communities, and townhome communities? Are we going to be less willing to live in densely populated areas, less willing to take public transportation, more willing to go to small private schools, and less willing to go to public schools because the curriculum is a little bit more robust, because the economic resources are there for the private schools, not so much the public schools, because restaurants aren't selling food, and retail isn't selling retail stuff, and tourism is down, and taxpayer dollars are what keep public schools afloat, as opposed to donations and private tuition for the private schools. So it's so funny how everything is changing right now. Are we truly becoming more connected of a community by doing meetings through Zoom, or are we becoming more disconnected despite the fact that we're still communicating with people? There's still something to be said about face-to-face, in-person communication. And this may be business as usual through these 9 cameras here, or however you're conducting business, but it's not the same of doing it face-to-face and shaking somebody's hand. My friends that watch this program and my friends that I hang out with socially, these are parents and these are 30-somethings. These are folks that oftentimes graduated from the University of Virginia, and these are folks that are trying to make a future for themselves and their young families. And they have said to me that they are nervous about bringing their kids to, say, places like the farmer's market. They're nervous about going to shows in concerts and venues like we once did. Take the Lock-In Festival. You think about Lock-In, this killer brand. What is going to happen to Lock-In? Right? I don't know about you, but virtual concerts through Facebook live streaming, which in a lot of ways is our business, is not the same as seeing it in person. Right? A crazy time we live in. A crazy time indeed. That's the show for Friday. What we're going to do on this network is we're going to work on to giving you a heads up, improving our technology even more. I think we've been first to market in a lot of ways in Charlottesville. We were first to market with believing in the power of social media and building a brand to tell the stories of clients and telling the stories of ourselves. We did that 12 years ago. You see that we were first to market with live streaming on Facebook. We've been doing this for 18, 19, or 20 months. And now this is the norm. We did this 19 or 20 months ago. What we'd like to do is take the technology and the vision a step further to make the programming even more dynamic by welcoming guests digitally from different locations on screen and having, when we're allowed, people in person. So you could conceivably have a couple of council members, a couple of board of supervisors watching the program, and maybe some private citizens. So the benefit would be court system in Charlottesville or in Albemarle County, some supervisors, some city councilors, some private citizens having this conversation, how we're going to figure it out. What are we going to do? How are we going to kick the tires? How are we going to make this happen? Because you have an issue coming down the pipe. And anyone who's watching this program knows I cover this well. And the issue coming down the pipe with the county and the city of Charlottesville is going to be what happens over here on Market Street. You're going to have a Royal Rumble here on Market Street. If somehow the city of Charlottesville doesn't follow through on its promise, the county's going to hold them accordingly to build this park, or going to hold them accountable to build this parking garage. And I don't think the city wants the backup exit clause to happen, to come to fruition if they don't build the parking garage. Interesting topic. I'd love to have supervisors and counselors on this program, which we're going to debut next week, and have conversations so you, the citizens, and you, the county residents, can hear, be kind of like a fly on the wall watching what's going around. So that's the I Love CVille show. My name is Jerry Miller. It's good to be with you on a Friday. We'll be back here on Monday. I already have one person on the calendar, and Hayes Humphreys. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Devil's Backbone. He's going to join us on Tuesday on the program. So one already booked and a couple of things in the hopper, guys. We do have Sally Hudson booked for Real Talk on Tuesday at 10:15 on the I Love CVille network, powered by Keith and Jonas Smith and the Yes Team Realtors. So Sally Hudson, our Virginian delegate, joins us Tuesday at 10:15. Hayes Humphreys, Tuesday at 12:50, CEO of Devil's Backbone. My name is Jerry Miller. It's an abbreviated version of the I Love CVille show. Enjoy your weekend.